Good morning. Good morning to each and everyone. It is my great pleasure to present this morning Laetitia Pansanel-Garric. She is a double bass player, pianist, and conductor. She conducts the Lyon 2 Symphony Orchestra because she's indeed teaching at the Université Lumière Lyon 2, especially in the frame of the master's degree, Music Applied to Visual Arts. She holds an aggregation at the Faculty of Music and Musicology of Lyon 2 and divides her time between composing and researching. She does research on the music of French animated film, composed during the last 20 years. She's been trained at the Conservatoire Supérieur de Musique et Danse in Lyon as well, and the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, in writing and composing music for film and media. Laetitia Pansanel-Garric has created the music of more than 70 films to date, feature films, short films, documentaries, commissioned works, and so on. She has been one of the composers in residence for the Chantier de la Création in 2021, and will speak to us now about composing music in order to create a shared performance starting from a diversity of musical practices and in a pedagogical context from a composer's point of view.
Hello. You hear me? Yes. I'm very glad to be here and to talk about this great project I've been part of 2 years ago. It's something when the Orchestre National de Lyon called you and tells you, do you want to be part of this project? You, as a composer, have no idea what is going to happen to you during the year. So I think this is something very interesting to live as a composer. This experience is great for everybody, for the teachers, but also for the composers, because it brings a lot of stuff that you didn't even know about creation in music. So this project really helped me at the end a lot in my vision of music. But let's start from the beginning. We told me that you knew about what is Chantier de la Création, but just let's have a word about the organization. It starts on September. You have the first and only one meeting with all the people. I mean those three schools and the team inside the three schools involved in the project. So you have a lot of different people involved in a project, and you have to learn how to communicate with them. Before talking about music, if the communications and the way of communicate is not well set up, I think the project is in danger. So the first months are pretty much they are here to just create this communication. So 3 schools, 2 teachers for each schools, and 2 musicians intervenants. I think you know what it is. I don't have the translation. Working with the Conservatoire of Musique in Lyon. And, of course, the musicians, but they are just playing the music we give them when they are with us during the rehearsal sessions. So it's a lot of people, in fact, and you have to multiply they all have their own vision of music. So in September, you have no idea how you are going to do that, how you are going to handle all those visions, all those pedagogies, different pedagogies. So it's a big deal. At this point, in September, I'm just scared about the project. So let's move on. So I created tools for trying to communicate with them. During this meeting I was talking about earlier, we decided together of a thematic for the concert. I came with an idea, but I didn't say, okay, I want this idea to exist, let's talk together. And my idea was to work on the elements, earth, fire, water, and air. They listened to my ideas, and of course, at this point, they had also no idea what they were going to do with that. But they said yes. They said yes. So in September, we decided we were going to work on that. So you have a board that I created with all those elements. So you have columns with elements and lines with schools. It was just for me the vision of the final concert. I didn't want to have 7 pieces of music on water and just one on earth, or I wanted a balance with all different energies. For me, those elements means musical energies, musical movements. So it has to be balanced. So I create those tools just to try to make them confident in the project. But in September, that wasn't in confidence. We really had to create that, them and me. The second board I wanted to show you is a board who goes a little bit deeper in the music, in the tools, what I need when I create music is musical functions. So I need rhythmical patterns, melodic patterns. All you just sang earlier was harmonic, sustains music. Everything has functions. So if we decide which function is going to be played by which group or which schools, everything is going to be balanced at the end. So I create this little lexicon. You have acronyms. R-E-R-Y is rhythm. H-A, it's harmony. MEL for melody, etc. I think I try to translate some stuff. And you have noise elements, because noise is music also. As long as you put movements, you have a great textures, great ideas. So I gave them that, and to be totally honest with you, they didn't know really how to use it, and the communication wasn't stable enough for me to explain that. But they wrote the names. They knew that I was going to ask them to give me those tools I needed, those patterns, those elements, this material I need to create my own music and the music, collective music. And those acronyms comes from my studies of orchestration. In orchestration, you have the same process. Who is playing the melody? Who is playing the figuralism lines? If all the functions are taken by someone, the orchestra is going to sound. It's the same thing for vocal group. I guess that's the thing I supposed and I wanted to believe in. Let's move on. So just a last word before listening some music. Les Chantiers de la Création is a project on a 1-year length, and it is organized like this. I go one hour. Okay, each month I go in the 6 schools. Just 1 hour is just nothing, and I spend 1 hour not giving them my music. It was collecting. It was a time where I could collect ideas. So for that, I needed to explain what I needed. So those boards helped me. But during this only 1 hour, I needed to meet who were those musicians intervenants. because I wasn't on class. I didn't have access to them. I was far away with my music, but who is going to play? Who is going to be on stage? Them. So I needed to use the lively resources. So the personality, the character, or the teachers and the musicians intervenants. So the music you're going to hear, you're going to really feel each who is behind the music. Because of that, I could save the, I could make my scenography safe, because the music pieces are really long. It's 7 minutes of music, of memorization for them. So because I couldn't rehearse with them, I create those tools. I'm going to talk about that later, but I wanted to respect who they were. So one of the musician intervenants was playing hurdy-gurdy, folkloric dances from Europe, from Celtic universe. So I wanted to keep that, and I used it. Another musician intervenant was a very good violin player, but also a dynamic person. He was sportive, and he was doing great motion movements with the kids. The kid was just listening to him and reacting. He was a conductor, so I kept that. I kept everything who was just set up already, just to make sure I could create my counterpoints using the forces, the strengths in place. So this was my posture. So let's talk about the first project. Just to end, I was going to in the school 1 hour each month. In February, it's very important. I was supposed to spend a week with the kids at the Auditorium de Lyon to start setting up the project and creating this link with them, making them knowing me and making me knowing them. The meeting couldn't happen because it was COVID time. So it was very painful for me because we never could work together on the scenography, and the meeting, screwed up a little bit for that. But well, we did it anyway. The concert was great, but well, I wish I could have my week. Anyway, the first piece I wanted to talk about is called Plic Ploc Blue. One of the school, Table Claudienne, the two teachers were very, very much creative. They have too many ideas, too much. So I have too much choice. So I said, okay, what's the main point? One of them told me, I want to do a canon. I said, okay, right. How? And I went to one rehearse, and I saw him working with the kids. I'm not talking about the musicians intervenant. I'm talking about the teacher. Even though they don't feel legitimate teaching music, in fact, everybody can, I think, teach in some way music. But he was practicing guitar, and music was part of his pedagogic anyway. And I wanted to use it. So I went to this, and sorry, where is that? So he showed me, I was with my phone, taking some videos to grab some ideas. And what you can see is the board of what I created at the end. Is it because the pieces are very long, they needed to have a repère. Sorry. They needed to have like a score, even without being readers. So this score, you have voice 1, voice 2, voice 3. because it was a canon, and I put the words. So you have on the column on this way the time, because I always sended mock-ups, MIDI mock-ups of the music. I was collecting ideas, and with my softwares, I was sampling I collected their audio samples, and I put them in the mock-up so they could recognize their ID. And here is the score of the mock-ups I created. So they could follow the whole form, the musical form, because it was longer than just songs. Song is 3 minutes. And it's easy to follow a song because you have the form, couplet, refrain, or the strophes is a form. Here, it's instrumental. You have other forms that they are not used to handle. Some months later, the same teacher tells me, oh, I want to work on haikus, those little poems based on 15 syllabs or 17, I don't remember. I said, okay, where I'm going to put that? Well, we find the way. But because, and thanks of those boards, they could rehearse while I wasn't there. And those boards create the rehearses that I couldn't have, because they were, the teachers every day could make them repeating and sing without me. So it was great, great tools. So I did that on all the schools after that. So the haikus I was talking earlier, I received that the end of the 8th of June. He sent me this.
Mes larmes grésillent en éteignant les braises.
The 3 last ones.
Toute la journée, sans un mot, le bruit des vagues. Un dernier souffle de vent tiré de la surface. Tsunami!
So this is a sample I got. It was longer, but I just cut it. So just to show you that there were everything set up. The interpretation of the words, the silences. So at this point of the project, 2 or 3 weeks before the concert, I couldn't touch at the form of their interpretation. I said, okay, we are going to do it. But how? I just wrote music in counterpoint behind and between all the haikus. And this form, independent form, the haikus part, I put it here. The canon was the A part, so I created the B part, the haiku section, and then we go back to ABA form and the return of the canon. When you compose music, you can create those little bridges. It's easy to do, and you just have to put in the scores for the musicians. Be aware, watch me directing, because we may loop this section, because they may be late in the reading, they may be faster, so we have to be careful. And so your score, you can just, in writing the right informations, you can handle that. And then the coda, because I have so many samples of Britism, so I put the coda with those great descriptive gestures and Britism sound effects. So let's listen to that. Sorry, an extract of the concert. I was obliged to cut, sorry, it's edited. This is the little video capsule. Mathieu. the teacher and the canon. This section was in loop to let them go back to their place. For example, at the end, just here. Just a thing I forgot to tell you. I didn't have the choice on the distribution. It was a little bit complicated. I had, in this case, one bassoon, one horn, one violin, and two altos. So the ensembles were very hybrid. And I was supposed to have the 15 musicians at the end, but it stayed 5. So hopefully it was well orchestrated, but yes, it wasn't a very nice surprise at the end. Let's talk about another school and another musician intervenant, Clémence Aupin. The one she's playing aggregation, guitar, and yes, in this school, everything was about the body. And the music came from the body. she was always making them moving, dancing, because those kids needed to move. They are not very much used to be seated and concentrated. So the music look at themselves. It's themselves, in fact. So Kachega, the first piece, is dancing from the earth. They compose the lyrics of an aka. She made them choose every syllab. I discovered a huge field of pedagogy because I'm not used to use those stuff. I know it's what you practice for most of you, but not me. So I really discovered soon painting, all those, you see on the board, there were always those lexic of gestures. It was very interesting. And they also shaped an aka. The project of Clémence and her students were creating a haka dance. So it was very interesting because I discovered that children can compose everything from the starting point to the end. I just had to create, of course, a rhythmical accompagnement, rhythmical and harmonic universe to support the piece, but the hooks, all the hooks, the ideas, what makes when you think about a piece, you have the hook who comes in the head, and it's what? It's Kachega, and it comes from them, not from me. So. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that there was an audio example. This is one of the audio I kept when I was visiting them. That's the way she's working with them. She has always an instrument, and they make them practice in movement and find ideas in movement, never sit. I discovered all those stuff. It was very interesting, but I didn't want to take care of the scenography. This is not my work, and I think I would have been very bad at that. So, but just interesting to show you that in her class, everything was just music, movement, and it was on the walls and on the boards. So she shaped Aka's gesture with her students, and Nicolas also, and Marion, the two teachers. You have this is the codification of the Akas, and she was practicing them. I think the square is the feet, and the triangles, maybe the legs. So it was a score, in fact. So I didn't touch that, of course. Let's listen. if you could see that there were the 3 teachers on stage and they all played music. Marion, the teachers on your right, she was scared, but we needed her to play percussions. The ensemble have a oboe, an English horn, 2 altos and 1 cello. I needed some help in terms of percussive presence and low frequencies. And it was a great way also to leave the project entirely. So she accepted the 2 others. Nicolas, the other teacher, was a flute player, so I wrote a piece, a score for him. He was very happy to play with the musician professional from the Auditorium de Lyon. And of course, Clémence played her degree, and it really gives a very nice styles of this part of the concert. We were somewhere else. Let's move on. Did I say everything? Okay, I have so many examples. So maybe this is the last one. On vous dit. We go back in the school of Table Claudienne with the other teachers. Raphaël, he decided to, with his 2 students, to choose a poem from Jean-Luc Moreau, who talks about air. It's a little bit nice. You have a assonance, you have a games words with you need to get some fresh air. You have this syllable comes back. It's a game. And okay, I said yes. A month later, no, before going back, I received this.
On vous dit qu'il faut prendre l'air. Il faut prendre l'air sans en avoir l'air. Sans en avoir l'air. On vous dit qu'il faut prendre l'air, il faut en prendre et en laisser. Prenez l'air sans en avoir l'air, désintéressé.
Prenez l'air clément comme Adèle.
Prenez l'air clément comme Adèle, sans vous laisser influencer. Si ce n'est pas les courants d'air qui sont à prendre ou à laisser.
So I have even difficulties to do that with my students. So when I got that, I said, wow, what is doing with them to make them feel so comfortable and so confident to create this? It is the perfect procedure we could ever find. In fact, because it's natural, they find the perfect antique meter in the Greek, ancient Greek. We had this respect of the rhythm of the language. Initially, the language speaks by itself. Here, of course, there is a guitar in the background, but it's just to just not letting them in the emptiness. They are out of the rhythmic of the guitar. They just improvise in reading and just paying attention to the rhythm of the verses. And I said, okay, it's just perfect. I have nothing to do, just keeping like this, the shape of the melody. They find it. It's perfect. So let's listen to this. This is a perfect example. So I had nothing to do, in fact, of course, creating the piece, but, well, they did the best part. Yes, look, when you compose music, you probably know that the poem is this length, and you have to, of course, deploy the form. And I create this score, visual score for them, where I put the bridge, ritournelle. I create a ritournelle, and often when I send it a PDF files, I was asking them, do we have to decline, creating a big crescendo, chanter, parler? It was a question that I let them answer during the class because I wasn't there. So let's listen what it was a nice nice moments, this one. Ah, ok. Juste une dernière non. No, it's not music, it's just I wanted to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I use, it's very important. I think everything could be possible because I used a lot softwares they could really rehearse because they had always the mock-up. I show you how I yes. You have the samples, so I pitch them, I cut, I make filters, and you have the piano at the top is the mock-up. So they have that, and I just you have you have the guitar, c'est samples. I wanted to show you that because this piece of music is 8 minutes long. Without that, they couldn't memorize it. It's just I use that, and I think it helped me a lot. So I think I have a lot more to show, but I think we are done. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for this passionate insight in a composer's work when working with children and children's ideas. There is no proper conclusion right now, but we wanted to have time for some questions or remarks, comments.
Hey, thank you very much for your really inspirational presentation. My question is about the instrumentalists. At the back, I assume they're paid professional instrumentalists. Is there an opportunity for any of the children who perform music to actually play musical instruments and accompany as a way for accessibility for schools if they can't afford to have instrumental players?
In the chantier de la création process, maybe I didn't show the right examples, but they play, they have percussions. It's a 1 hour concert, so maybe I didn't show those pieces. But the orchestra, they are independent. They come each month with me, 1 hour to play what I make them play. And they are here in the process, but the kids don't play the symphonic instruments. But the Auditorium Orchestra National de Lyon has a project who calls a huge orchestra, and they rent instruments for kids. Maybe you've heard of this project. There's the name of that. But, well, so they put the orchestra available for all kids, yes, but not in the Chantier de la Création project. It's too complicated to handle. It's something else. Pipes, tuyaux et pipes.
Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. As far as I understood, it was the first time for you that you did this kind of collaborative composition.
Yeah, indeed.
I wonder, did this leave a mark on how you compose? I mean, did this have an impact on how you see yourself as a composer and how you compose?
Oh yes, great question. Not later than 3 days ago, I was working on an animated scene for an animated movie, and I was stuck. I was with I'm an improviser. I compose with the keyboard. I find ideas like this, and when the ideas is not the right one, it's probably because it's not a keyboard that I need. So I took a guitar and I sang, and I said, okay, why it doesn't? Because in film music we have the problem of the synchronizations, and it's the form of the music is given by the picture. So when it doesn't, it don't comes from here or from here. It's just because it's not the right gesture, and I just could get out of my point stuck, and because I took a guitar and I just sang, and this reflex, this ideas comes from this experience of the chantier, because I was composing sometimes. Of course, I was singing. I sing on all the mock-ups, but sometimes I played with the guitar. For me, ideas comes from the body and also from the imprenation of the instrument you play. You don't compose the same music with the guitar than with the keyboard, than just with the voice, or just with the paper. It's just you have other music, not better, just different. Well, so when I showed you a Logic session, Logic is the software I used. I never wrote a piece just with samples. It's the first time, but they gave me tons of samples of declamations, words. Instead of saying, no, this is not my music, let's sing, no. I said, okay, let's do something with all those samples, but this is a technique I never used. It was very interesting. And then sometimes there was just little motif, melodic motifs, and we highlight it, but using the technique of sampling.
Thank you very much, Laetitia. I was in the concert. It was so beautiful, really. Could you please tell us some things about the work of the musician intervenant? What they bring to the music, to the cooperation, anything else?
Without them, there is no concert, in fact. Because the teacher, they do their best, but one of them, I didn't show any example from this school, but she said, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't have ideas. It takes time to my work with my class. But the musicians in the Tableau Claudienne project, you see Mathieu with those big movements with the bottles in plastic. He has such a great contact with kids, so it gives this physical energy that I just wanted to have in my music. I couldn't imagine that without his this little video we saw. This is him, his energy. It doesn't belong to me. So I used it because when he started his class with his kids, he put music and he dances with them. So I kept that, and it was great. We have during the concert. I'm sorry, I should have show you those extracts. I'm conducting because there is a huge distance with the musicians and the kids, but he's conducting them in the choreography, in the scenography, and it's wonderful. So I use this very generous energy he gave each time he was with the kids, and I've learned a lot just watching him doing that. I don't know if you saw that. It was there was a very great quality of concentration of the kids when he was finding colors with the papers, the newspapers. They was just watching him like this because he was so interesting. He's great in his job, and Clémence the same. Clémence, she is always singing something. She's a conductor of her kids, so I kept that also. So I don't know if I answered the question, but without them, the kids will be stand up, fixed like this, because this is not my job. But they will sing, maybe. They would have sing, but it's a concert because of their job and their implication.
Yes, I think this will be the last question. Oh.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's actually not a question, it's more a remark. I have to think about yesterday's talk from Heidi, and I think that one prerequisite for such projects to be a success is that we have to transcend the individualistic and very lonely process of making music or practicing music and composing. And so this worked because you were able to communicate with others and to let others' energies and ideas influence you. And I think that's something that maybe we have to have more of in our conservatories and in our music universities.
I am absolutely right. I agree with you. Clémence, with her degree, using it in my music is not without consequences because it's a roof note. So it's modal music, so it doesn't have to change. So I really had to handle this, but it was a challenge. It was very nice to do. I wish I could have show you this is a nice piece of music. So.
Good morning. I am a musicien intervenant, and I have participated several times in the Chantier de la Création, not with you, Laetitia, but with other composers. So very quickly, I think this the Chantier de la Création is a very typical project led by, in which musiciens intervenants participate, and they really act as, how to say, they ensure transition between you as a composer and the primary school teachers and the children. But it's difficult because it's kind of democratic experience to take into account the proposals of the children, the personality of the composer, the professionalism of the primary school teachers, and seeing all the children every week, but you see them only a few times in the year. So there's also a question of time scales which are not the same for the different professionals. So it's a very nice example of collaborative professionalism where we all professionals have to work together and produce something, a collective creation. So, well, I don't have time to say much more, but thank you very much, Laetitia, for your talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, at the end, the musician intervenant wanted, just as me, that the concert was a success, so they spent so many times on the phone with me or just sending me all samples, but it was taking on their own life because they don't have time. So without them, there is no Chantier de la Création, that's for sure. Or just maybe a composer who think we can do everything by itself, but I'm not sure it could be a happy project.
Thank you very much. Thanks to you all, and special thanks to Laetitia Pansanel-Garric.
Thank you very much.